You're only the unique value you offer. This is a key thing in our relationship marketing book, Pat. And I wanted to talk about it because you were reviewing the book and we're building out the workbook. And you said, this is still one of the most important things for people to take some time to dial in.
Yeah, yeah. So you know what? In the first bunch of chapters, we're kind of just setting the table with you kind of already do this. When you fall in love with that great piece of place or the places where your kids have the greatest fun or whatever, referring is something that we all know is natural. We want it to be good. We want our reputation to not be on the line. We want to make sure that the folks we refer people to, and then we shared all kinds of different strategies and tactics and those kind of things that really help somebody do it. But one of the things when you and I were talking that I really wanted to kind of have people know that if you forget all that stuff afterwards, if you've read the book and you forget all chapter 1 through 6, and then anything after chapter seven is the thing that I really believe firmly that if you really get what we're trying to do here, it will change your business as much as anything else because it answers a question that people really have a problem with, especially those folks that do go and network. And when we say network, I mean when you're going to a backyard party and somebody says, and it's a barbecue on a Saturday or Labor Day weekend, right? And somebody says, what do you do for a living? Well, we've got to have something answer that. And it can't be, well, I'm an accountant or I'm a chiropractor or I'm a realtor. I'm the happy realtor. I'm the smiley realtor, right? It can't be those things. It really has to do with something that quite frankly, because when you're at that Labor Day barbecue, weekend barbecue, you really don't want to be that guy that takes that as if that was a sales opportunity. You're at a barbecue. Don't be that salesperson that's every time it seems like somebody's in it, we try and sell them. So when we look at these kind of things and we start talking about your unique value proposition, and we use value proposition, people say unique selling proposition. What
Mhm.
we're really not trying to do is sell. We have a marketing book, not a sales book. We're
Mhm.
trying to market. We're trying to create relationships with people. And the best way to create a relationship with somebody that's meaningful and that actually turns into business is to create value.
Mhm.
And again, not value for everybody. I mean, Martin, how long have you been a business coach?
Since I left IBM in 95, a
Yeah,
while.
that's a while, right? Everybody that talks to you or everybody you run into, even those that say, I'm looking for a business coach, can you bring value to all of them?
No.
No. And quite frankly, no one can. So a realtor, even if they're licensed to do real estate in Colorado or North Carolina, they're not the best realtor for everybody, and you're not the best business coach for everybody and those kind of things. So what we're really trying to do, and this the cool thing about this in building a real book of business and a business that actually starts building itself, because we've got people out there that are always referring us.
Mhm.
That's the cool thing about this. It just works. It's that ground game that you call it.
Mhm.
When we do that, the main thing is I want to do. So I'm going to scroll into our book. And the main thing I want people to do when they have this book is I want you to look at the formula. Okay. And I'm gonna kind of be ranting a little bit or ad-libbing a little bit, freestyle. But I also want to read from this book because I want when you get this book, if you're in a class of Martin's or you get this book and you look at it, I want you to look at this more than it's a couple of pages. Okay. So when we do there, Martin's was when we did this thing. I teach small businesses how to make more money without spending more money. Okay, I'm at Martin and I are at a barbecue, and I say, Martin, what do you do? And he says, I teach small business how to make more money without spending more money, and which is different than I'm a business coach.
Yep.
Completely different.
Yep.
It's a value statement, and if he says that to me, then I've got something to work with rather than, a business coach. I knew one of those one time. I can say, well, hey, I'm a small business owner, or my brother owns a small business, or my dad's in business, or you know what, my cousin's thinking about getting into business. When we do these kinds of things, and again, if you're listening to this, it's so much more powerful for Martin to say, I teach small business how to make more money without spending more money. Why? Because you know what a small business owner really wants is to make more money without spending a lot more money.
Yep.
So it's this so directed to what somebody wants the receptions there. So when we look at things and people say, I'm an accountant, or I'm a stylist or a chiropractor or whatever, we really have to make it into that. And so that formula kind of thing. Let me. So part one we say is an action word, and we say And so I teach, I guide, I relieve, like relieve pain, I direct things, I transform, I prevent, I create, I show. I really love that teach and show, those two words,
Mhm.
more than all the others. If you ask me which ones, then I'd probably say I teach people or I guide or I show people, right? Because people want to be either taught or shown. That other stuff is a little nebulous there. And so what we want to do is we want to be able to say, you know, so an accountant, I ensure small business, small realtors stay off the IRS radar. A stylist, I transform women into confident natural beauties. A chiropractor, I give contractors more pain-free work days, right? Martin, I teach small business how to make money. So these are answers and short answers to that question. But here's what it does: it forces the other person to say something that, when they say it to you, is so powerful. They're going to say, well, how do you do that?
Right.
Or some form of, how do you do that? I mean, you teach small business owners how to make more money without spending more money. Martin, how do you do that?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
You almost have to say that, right? When you say these things, which when somebody says, I'm a business coach, you're not having them say anything. They're like,
Right.
did they know a business coach? Did they go to school? You don't do anything.
Pat, I want to
Is
add with that that
yeah,
also, if they have a negative experience of that before, that can be linked to it. It's like whatever they saw at Walmart of that, that's what's in their head. You want to give them the story of the real value of what you're offering, and that's something especially with small businesses is how do we have a ground game and a web game by spending the minimum or no money at all. And that's would be organic, networking, everything else, so that you really do make more money without having to write a bigger check. Or if you're spending money, it's paying for itself right up front.
exactly right. And here's the cool thing about that, because I know you've said that and you've got a successful business coaching this, because what we do is, again, what you had said is right. I don't know what's in your mind when I say I'm a chiropractor. You may think they're quacks. Go to a real doctor or acupuncture. So I don't know what's in your head, but so if I say that the job, and here's the other thing: we are not our jobs. What we do for a living does not define who we are. And every business coach or every person does things. So when you're talking about this and you're saying this, Martin, you're saying I do this. This is what I do for people. Not I am a business coach. This is what I do for people. And when you say something like that, even if they have bad feelings in their back of their head, they can actually say by you saying make more money without spending more money. If they had a bad thing like, hey, I knew somebody that was a business coach and they just ripped them off and charged them a lot of money, you've already addressed that and say, okay, now how do you do that? Because everybody I know is the other thing. So part one, that I show, I teach, I whatever. Part and then you pick a person. So yours was small business. The stylist was small retailers or women. The chiropractor was contractors. Now, can a chiropractor work on anybody's back and spine or whatever? Yeah, but the thing is, if you really niche in, the chiropractor that niches into, let's say, contractors, you're going to get a whole bunch of contractors, but more to the point of the book, you're going to get contractors who know contractors referring contractors to you. You're going to get contractors who employ people employing their employees to you. You're going to get contractors to get that have this really challenging job that's always cracking their back and always doing those kind of things, telling their brother-in-law or somebody they meet at a Labor Day weekend party barbecue, hey, listen, the guy I go to is awesome. I work more days because, again, you put that in their head. I work more days because I'm with this contractor, or this chiropractor. And so we teach. So the first part of that is I teach, I show, I help, and then fill in the blank for who you teach, you show, your help. And if the blank you put in the blank everyone, then you will serve no one. You just can't. So the blank is a specific niche. Now, does that mean you're only going to work with small business owners? No. Does it mean you could only work with contract? No. But it means when you're out there, that's how you're going to get that 100 or so customers, that client base that allows you then to do all kinds of growth from there. So here's the big thing: most of us only need between 100 and 200 clients. That's it. If you were a realtor and you knew that you if you do certain things, you're going to get between 100 and 200 clients. If you just mine that mine and you just go right in that area. I do things with people that are downsizing. I work with folks over 55 neighborhoods. I work with people who have kids. If you just mind that one thing, that blank, fill in the blank for retirees over 55, people with no kids, people that want to horse property, whatever it is, then it works out really well. And so that's part two. And so when you run through that, it does require that person to say, tell me more. How do you, basically I say, how do you do that? How do you do that? And then what we want you to do right after that is, we don't want you, again, I'm putting your head, you can put your head into, you're at a BNI meeting, you're at an official networking meeting, you're at something like that. But what Martin and I want you to do is, this is something you can say when somebody, you meet somebody in the church parking lot and you say, man, that was really great. I really love the message today. Hey, by the way, you got kids the same size. And then you ever get in that question, and what do you do for a living? What do you do? We want you to be able to be so common, so easy and flowing that you say, hey, I help small businesses make more money with spending less money. I get contractors more pain-free work days. Then they say, how do you do that? And here's what we want you to do. Back off. This isn't a press the gas moment. This isn't a, man, I've got somebody I can sell. I've got an opening next Tuesday. Let's talk. Come down to my office. Here, what's your email address? What's your phone number? No, this is that. This is what we're going to be able to say is kind of, how do we do that? So Martin, let's do that. And Martin, what do you do?
I help people make more money without spending more money.
How do you do that?
I've studied how you build relationships off of existing customers that lead to more customers where they're excited to refer you. And then your online content is adding to that secondary validation or the social proof. It's really a ground game where your web content's leading to a validation that makes it easy for people to refer you, because cold calls, new customers that don't have any relationship, cost you more to get online.
Well, and then here's the thing. What Martin was saying, I help you with increase your network relationship and make more folks. They'll bring you people, and then I attach that to your online stuff. If Martin would just stop that. We're at the barbecue. Martin says, "Hey, if you ever want to know more about it, I can get you a card. I can do things. I can do whatever." But we want to be in and out of that, because here's what we want to do. We want to ask that person the same respectful thing. And Martin, what do you and Pat, what do you do?
And Pat, what do you do?
Right. I mean, we need to be able to do that now. I'm less in the commercial space anymore, and so I work in community stuff. I'm right now a chamber director, and I work in a couple of things with our municipality and our counties. But I will say, so what do? I really try and make my community a more livable place.
That's it. That's it.
That's
and then how do you do that, Pat? Well, one of the ways is the chamber director.
Well, exactly. One of the ways is, I figured that if I had an effect on our business community and volunteered for the chamber director, I could do that. And if I had an effect on our urban renewal authority, where we were really working on blight and affordable housing, that would work. And they kind of mesh together, and it's really great. Martin, what do you do? That would really be my flow, right? And we really want to get that action word. I help, I show, I teach, whatever, who that is, and then what we deliver. It's really simple. It's in chapter 7 of the book. And I will tell you this: if you do that, and here's the thing, mess up, it's okay.
Yeah.
You're at a party. Don't if you're going to because you're going to think like this is some line you have to have perfect for a movie script, and you got to know your line. No, you know what you do for a living. The good thing about this is, we're not asking you to do something that is out of your water. We're asking you to do something that's in the water you swim in all the time. This is what you do. You're a realtor that really helps people when they're 55 find that place that's really great, so they can meet friends and extend their social network and find a golf partner. I help people. What do you do? I help people find more golf partners. Wow, how do you do that? Well, I'm a realtor, and I mostly work with golf properties. You know what I mean? That flows so much nicer than, I will list your property, and we're the happy realtor, or the discount realtor, or any of those kinds of things. So that was really what I wanted to try and really look at. So when folks are going kind of through that, that space, I really want them to add those. And Martin, I think you have it in the workbook. That is a
exercise.
Really is a
for our training
exercises where somebody can do
we
that.
give them training to do right in the class. So that's That's a key thing. And I want to add, I start with the beginning, but I often enjoy listening to who I'm speaking to how I express how I do it. It's like speaking to the person in front of me. That's why I don't like to have just a canned, how do you do that? Because it might be different based on who's listening to me, who am I in front of. So I love what you said. You got to get out there and practice this, let it morph a little, let it shift, kind of speak to the person right in front of you and listen to them. What I thought might be fun, Pat, and is that, I'm getting to work with Greg Fishel, and he's now independent weather person. And I thought we would kind
Yeah.
of make up a little bit. I know quite a bit about him, and beyond saying, okay, I'm an independent weather person. So what? And one of the things we just did is one of his first little ads that went out there, and he came up with the idea, I'm the no hype weather person, and brings up where that. But it could just be what he really does is he helps people know what's going on with the weather, enjoy it, and learn about it so they become more knowledgeable. When they look out the weather, they kind of know. He's the educator with the weather. So I thought
Yeah.
we'd play with that and see if you come up with something any
Well, I mean,
interesting
here's
with
the
that.
thing I think about him, and again through you, I've been able to see some of the stuff he does.
Yeah.
My understanding is he used to be like a Channel 7, whatever,
Yeah. Yeah.
weather guy. You know what I mean? And then now he's independent, and the independent means, in my brain, channelless. Without channel,
Right.
also means without news. And so whenever I kind of think about him, I'm the weatherman without the news. And the
Mhm.
reason I like that kind of thing is the news is
Yeah.
always bad. Now,
Right.
the weather is going to be what weather is, but the news can be so slanted and so divisive and so sometimes mean right now. Some of the stuff
Yeah.
that's out there on all sides. Everybody's guilty. Everybody's okay. I'm not pointing fingers, but what I'm saying is, I really like the idea of. I would like the idea of almost the newsman without a channel, the newsman
Hmm.
without, or the weather man without the channel, the
Yeah.
weatherman without the news, which, because it's one of those things that means I may not like Channel 7, and I
Right.
may really like him. So how do I plug in there when he's only doing the news? It's like I'm the weather guy for all channels. I'm
Hmm.
the weather guy without for all the news. You know where to find the channels. You know where to find the news. Let me tell you about the weather, though.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I
And, and he's offering it for basically less than, buying a cup of coffee at Starbucks a month. You're going to get it. The other
Exactly.
thing
And
is
well,
people, there's more clickbait than ever on the news, even the weather. It's like, hey, stay tuned. It might storm today when it's like a 0.1% chance.
that's exactly right. And I think a lot of folks also like to know more than just there's a chance of the. I think people like to know about clouds and about how they go there. And I think there's some kind of thing to where people want to be educated rather than, okay, take a raincoat out today.
Yeah.
It's a, why is that happening in your area? Certainly the Gulf Stream has something to do with that stuff. Pressure from Florida and like a Maine, and the
Hmm.
Atlantic has some. There's all kinds of things that have to do kind of where you guys are. I'm in the middle of the country. We don't have a lot of those kinds of things. You guys have weather that can change, and we say it will change 15 minutes. So that just means it snowed or didn't snow.
Right.
That's our
Right.
thing. So we either have snow or it doesn't snow. But yeah, I would think that if I were kind of thinking about him and who he so let's just go through it. Who an action word.
Right.
I show, I teach. That would be one of his things, right?
Right. I show and
Um,
teach people about the weather without the news.
without the
Or,
news, right?
yeah.
What? Yeah, and again, I think one of those things. Then you'd say without the news, what does that? And now you almost have to say, what does that mean? And then you go into, well, don't sometimes you just want to know about the weather, and you just don't want to know about what CB and NBC or Fox News and CNN, what they're talking about, everything else. You just want the weather. But if you go to the Weather Channel, you got to dig so much. I just bring you the weather around North Carolina or Raleigh or that kind. I bring you the best detailed information about where you live. Yeah, I think that no, and again, this is not maybe outside this recording, but so he's put a business model around this, um, in this thing? It's a
Yeah,
subscription. Is
so
that
he
kind of
has
what it is?
basically you can get some sponsored content, and then he has a YouTube where he puts some things on, but then he has a Patreon where for a few bucks a month you get the basic new weather, and when you turn on the channel to get the weather, it's like, oh, here's what's happening soon, and then you have to listen to all the news to wherever they're going to drop in the rest of
Right.
it. So he gives it. And then if you want more, there's a bonus version for a few extra bucks a month. And he goes in and he explains in more detail what's going on. So you can, running right off of Patreon, you can get the either the news very clear and what's going on with no hype to try to get you to listen further, and education along with it, or you can get a deep dive of further education for a few extra dollars.
Yeah, no, I would again, there's sometimes when you're, especially in like the Florida, the Carolinas, those kind of things, where there are certain times of the year, and we're kind of coming up on them, to where you need to make plans about what's going to happen, because the weather guys know what's happening in the Atlantic, where it's coming up, and it's going to hit North Carolina and Florida here real soon. So I would imagine there's an opportunity in the weather alert business,
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
alerts,
at
you
this,
know.
he what he does is he gives it and then he directs you to like an app or something where you could get that instantaneous. So he's giving specific multiple times a week, but then if something big comes on, he'll do at least text updates along with it. But he also teaches you and directs you to an app where you don't even have to have the TV on. You can watch the app and listen to him and get those combination things. You get your alerts on your
So
phone
here's
as
so here's
well.
the
Go ahead.
so yeah so here's the kind of the missing thing kind of for him in our formula. Okay,
Yeah,
and
right.
I don't know if we have the answer for him, but it's something for him to think about. When we say that in that formula, I teach, I show, I help, we have a blank there.
Mm-hmm.
And so if his blank is everybody that wants to know about weather, then I think that's challenging. So I would try and say, try and do some ideation on who's really interested in weather.
Yep.
What business people, what folks that, you know what, they want to know more than they walk out the door. Let's say a farmer, a rancher, somebody that does certain kinds of work, people that take people out on fishing things, folks that are in the tourism business, folks that are people that I would say for him to do is a little exercise of write down pretty much all the occupations you can think of, industries and occupations that actually weather is really important to them, more
Mm-hmm.
so than just walking out the door and saying, "Man, it looks sunny today,"
Right.
or watching the morning news and they say, "Hey, chance of rain, chance of sun, chance of everything today," right? But if he found a couple of folks that were really, you know, it's almost like I help people that make money off the weather know about the weather.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
You know
Right.
what I mean? Because then you're
Yeah,
like,
that's great.
I make money off the weather.
Yeah. No, that's
So,
terrific.
yeah, we used to when I lived up in Winter Park, Winter Park, Fraser, the ski area. Everybody there said we were snow farmers. So
Uh-huh.
what's your occupation? So if you're a restaurant, I'm a snow farmer, because when it snows,
Right.
my restaurant does better. Every business there dealt with the snow, and so
Yeah.
you tried to turn it into, that's not just for snowcat operators or snowmobile folks or skiers. Even restaurants and bars and folks outside are all snow farmers. So I would ask them to try and figure out what's in that blank. And again, this is a good point. It doesn't mean that blank, when you do this stuff, Martin and I are not saying, okay, now that's your formula.
Right.
That's your 1, 2, and 3, 6 of the formula. Your action word, your who do you serve, what do you do? If I found you know what the hell you do. Let's say I was a real estate person or whatever, and I found myself at a group, and I looked around the group and I read the room, and I looked and said, you know what? A lot of these folks are over 55. This is a kind of thing right there. And somebody asked me that. I'm probably not going to say, I help young couples get into their first home,
Right.
right? Well, I got to read the room, right?
Right.
And so I'm going to have, hey, I happen to help people over 55 find neighborhoods where they can meet other folks over 55 and enjoy travel and the golden years before they're golden, they're silver years,
Right.
Well, that would resonate a lot more with that group than if I said, I help first home buyers, right? So you're not locked into one thing, you know. I think having a few helps you in the rest of the marketing, like Martin said. Having a few helps you with the offline game, your ground game, so that then when you have your online content that you're doing, they resonate. There's connective tissue to it. If you're all over helter skelter offline, that will make you be all over helter skelter online, and you'll look like somebody that doesn't do anything really good for anyone. And that's what
Right.
we don't want you to do.
Yeah,
Right.
it's so valuable because this fits in with everything we talk about. Is attracting who you can serve and really being unattracted to the ones you can. And the thing I love about this when people do it is someone will go, well, I'm in this camp. Would you still help me? It's bizarre how when you're focused, people come in sideways and still see if you'll match because that commitment and focus seems to draw people to you differently than anyone who fogs the mirrors, my customer.
Martin, a great thing. So what I used to own a digital marketing agency, and we did websites and all that kind of stuff. And in the early days, when I lived up in near a ski area, all of our work was around people in the tourist industry.
Mm-hmm.
That was all of our work. So somebody would ask us that kind of thing, and then we'd just say, "Listen, we work primarily in the tourism industry. Somebody that wants more visitors coming to their place, we send visitors to your business." And I had people say, "Well, my brother has a, I'll just make it up. My brother's a chiropractor down in Denver. Could you help him?" And this is my attitude with it. Okay, I used to say, "Yeah, but here's what I ask you to do, and I'll help him, and we'll crush it. And we'll do it. Just have him not tell anyone else." Now we added that little, but don't tell anyone else. And here's what it did. People would tell anyone else because they thought it was this secret way to get into our firm. And it was, but we would say, and I loved adding that because here's the thing. I was in that business for decades. You know what I mean? And so I would just see it happening. Hey, and I would call it, oh, so you told her, right? It was just an inside joke that we were able to do, but it was our way. We do things for folks in the tourism industry, people that want more tourists and more visitors coming to their restaurant or club or dude ranch or whatever. My Martin Brossman, the guy I know, is a business coach. Can you help him? We'd be happy to help him, and we're going to treat him just like our eight fun customers. You just got to tell them, don't tell anybody. That's how that would flow. It's actually coming back to me. I did it so often, and then I would say, have him call me or give me, if he doesn't call me in a couple of days, I'll call him. Hey, Martin, I talked to your brother. He was up here. He has the dude ranch. I do a lot of stuff in that area. He asked me if I could do him a personal favor and help you in certain areas. So maybe I can help you with just some advice or with some of the content we have. Maybe that will help you. Or if we get to the point where you really need a digital firm like ours, then certainly your brother's gold with us. So certainly the door's wide open for you. That's how the conversation would go. If you were hearing that, hopefully you heard that there was no pressure.
Right.
There wasn't any. I'm trying to attract and connect with the people that are going to make my job as a business owner and as a provider of a service fun.
Yeah.
I will add this: if you ever make a mistake and you let somebody in you have a castle and you have the moat and the walls and all that kind of stuff, and if you ever have a customer that you let in and they aren't very good, they don't really understand the referral business, they don't appreciate what you're doing, they're not really good to your staff, they're always complaining about things, you must fire them now.
Yep.
They must be fired instantly. And just trust me on that. You'll be happier, you'll make more money. The negative people let into your firm, into access to you, will do more harm for the people that work with you, yourself, your ability to make money. And here's the thing: the way Martin and I are teaching you is, don't worry about that. You'll
Mm-hmm.
find more of the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
Just follow more, and you'll find more of the good ones, and you won't even remember that bad client that you got, and you say, how did they get in here? And trust me, we
I
all have
got
that.
one of the best compliments in the one of my certificate programs on digital marketing, and someone in the back of the room, I still wish I knew who it was. He goes, "What I love about this course is everything you're teaching is transparent and ethical. You can let your customer know everything you're doing. I mean, even if don't tell someone, they go, 'Are you serious?' He goes, 'Well, it's a game I play.' It's
Exactly.
and that's the
Exactly.
exciting thing about this because I have looked for years for something like what you offered that we built the book on. And it is, I tell people, read the book and then hand it to your customer, and say, you might want to learn about this too.
Right. I mean, there's nothing exactly. There's no. and roll the pen to them so they have to catch it so they'll sign the thing. There's no like tricks and things. Again, what we really want folks to do is we're not trying to. There are good sales books out there. Go find them. There are good sales book out there. Having a great product or service is the best sales book in my mind, right?
Yeah.
That people that, but the best thing is really just provide a great service.
Yeah.
Because if you provide a great service and you get this book and you understand relationship and referral marketing, you'll have customers. That will not be your problem. And maybe then
And
I've had people do
yeah.
this, Martin, and say, I'm having a real problem. And you find out, you know what? When you said, now we have a different problem. This is where you'd need a business coach like Martin. Now you have a different problem. You're attracting business, you're getting business in, but you have denied yourself the ability to make the amount of money you're due. You set your fees almost at the point where you were buying businesses coming in. And now let's really look at your value stack and make sure you're charging the amount of money for the value that you're bringing. And in many cases, I've worked with folks during this kind of thing. They're increasing their rates and nobody's upset about it.
Yeah. Yeah. In fact, Pat, when I left IBM, I set up a little PC repair business on the side to fund me while I was building the coaching business. And I sat down with someone, they go, your rate's way too low. This is not sustainable, because I had no idea how expensive it was to run a business. Well, I went from like $35 to $75, and I thought I'd lose all the customers. I sat down with them. I even said, the next session, such and such will be the same, but I'm going to be going up at this time, because I analyzed, and for me to be able to keep servicing you, I can't do it. People, what's funny is people go, we're kind of waiting for that, because we were doing the math and figured out you couldn't keep going. We want to be able to help you. I lost like one customer. It was the customer I should have fired.
It's almost always that. So here's the other thing is that when you're doing that and you're charging things, we have something in the book, a strategy in the book that says, okay, let's say you're charging $50 and you really need to get the $75, okay, and we won't make it that big, but that you sit down with your customers and say, here's what I'm doing, but for you, Martin, because you refer business to me and you understand that's how I build my business, I'd like to keep with you and me. I'd like to keep it at $50 like we've done all this time. And I'd like for you to refer me some business. So is there any way you can refer maybe over the next 90 days from this time I do this stuff? Can you refer me 3 people over the next 90 days?
Sure.
Right. So, and you make that. And as long as you're doing that and you're referring people to me, because I'd have to pay $25, Martin, just to get another customer. And so I'd rather give it to you in the form of a discount on my service than give it to YouTube or Facebook or any of those other things. So there are strategies that help us with when we're dealing with pricing, make that part of your marketing, because sometimes you're going to have to pay for marketing anyway, paid and earned, right? So
no, that's great. And we now have a workbook and a training that goes with it. Pat, I just want to close on thanking everyone who's helped us, especially Jane Malucci, that made the whole thing possible by taking our training, sifting through, which is still available to hire, and putting it into a condensed, quick read book.
Amazing. First of all, an amazing person, amazing woman, a professional that, here's Martin, somebody so easy to refer to, you almost are obligated, because you want to help so many other people get a taste of what it's really like to work with a true professional that they don't over deliver. That's just how they deliver. And she's amazing. What a pleasure.
Well, this was terrific, Pat. I really like to do this. We'll have to do more. And I invite people, when you read the book, make sure to follow. There's information in the back. There's a group to join as well. There are resources out there. And also, I'm available for custom training for a Salesforce. You have a realtor team, you want it, or you have a series of insurance salesmen or some group where you want to take them to the next level. We've got the training for them right out of the book. And I tell people, when they take the time and do the behavioral changes over 90 days, they will see the results. But you actually have to do something. You can't think about it. You have to do something. And often when something isn't familiar with you, you have to try it on to get the results, not just think it through.
Well, I would guarantee, do this. if you're uncomfortable, get over that uncomfort, move forward. We're not having you do anything there, but quite frankly, in 90 days, if you do these things, your business will change.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's exciting to
Yeah.
see.
So
Great,
always
Pat.
good, Martin. Thanks.
Thanks so much. Absolutely.